Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is what we like to call our Final Four pitch event. It's not the NCAA Final Four event, but we think it's almost as important, if not more so. It's really an opportunity for the folks who are watching tonight and others who will see the recording to appreciate the incredible talent that through this case study process we're able to identify, and we hope support through not just a scholarship, but the mentoring, the summer internship, the professional development that comes with what it means to be an FSF scholar or a Virgil Abloh postmodern scholar. So it's a terrific night. Thank you, judges, and thank you, presenters, for participating in a very important moment for the FSF. I'd love to just introduce the five judges tonight. First, Shannon Abloh, who's the CEO and Managing Director of Virgil Abloh Securities and the President of the Virgil Abloh Foundation. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us. And I want to just note that 2 years ago, Virgil was a judge of this very same event. And I'm so pleased, Shannon, that you're joining, and also that tonight one of our finalists is a Virgil Abloh postmodern scholar. So Shannon is joined by Nada Devere, who's an FSF board member and also the Chief Merchandising Officer at Macy's. Welcome, Nada. Nada's joined by Emma Grede. Emma is the co-founder and CEO of Good American, founding partner of SKIMS, and co-founder of Safely, and soon to be an honoree at the annual FSF Gala. Thanks, Emma, for joining us. Paolo Riva, it comes from the Neiman Marcus Group, which is an important partner and friend of the FSF's. Paolo is the Senior Vice President and General Manager for Brand Partnerships and Merchandising for Neiman Marcus Group. Paolo, thanks for your time tonight. And finally, Corey Smith, who's the Head of Diversity and Inclusion, North America at LVMH, also a very important friend and supporter of the FSF's, and in particular, the Virgil Abloh Postmodern Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Corey. So as I think for those of you who've watched before, this is tightly paced. We have an hour. We have 15 minutes for each of the four finalists. Each of the four has 4 minutes or so to present, and then 10 to 11 minutes to answer questions from the judges. So I'd love to just jump right in and get going. I may interrupt from time to time just to be mindful of time. But Sophia, maybe if we can pull you up and you can pull your pitch slides up. Sophia, for the audience and the judges, as a reminder, is a senior from the University of Florida. Sophia, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Enriquez. I'm a student at the Warrington College of Business at the University of Florida, where I study marketing and retail. I just want to start by saying that I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be with you all today, where my worlds can collide and I can connect my passion for the fashion and beauty industry with my marketing background. What truly draws me to marketing is how it allows me to be creative and analytical at the same time, which I was able to do in this study. Today, I'm going to share how you can showcase your inner beauty with Glossier every day, a lifestyle line made by you and for you. Now you might be wondering, well, how? Well, this lifestyle line incorporates an artificial intelligence survey to truly understand who you are in order to suggest a scent. Glossier invites you to participate in the creation of products that you will use in your everyday life. So why did I choose Glossier? Well, I chose Glossier just as much as Glossier chose me. I will never forget sitting in my favorite coffee shop, Pascal's in Gainesville, Florida, where I was working on a school assignment for my sales management class. I have loved Glossier since the moment it launched, and in fact had received the You perfume for my birthday just a few weeks prior. When researching Glossier for my school assignment, I remember reading the description of the perfume on their website, and I read that it was meant to capture the personality of the wearer. And I wondered to myself, well, how could Glossier capture this? The most exciting element of marketing to me is understanding your consumer and creating that conversation between them and the brand. And so Glossier every day was created with the intent of doing exactly that. Meet my sister-in-law, Lucy. She is Glossier's #1 fan and is also a major skincare enthusiast. However, she tends to get distracted by similar brands and products. So how can we keep her focused on Glossier? Well, with an exciting personalized quiz. While scrolling on TikTok, Lucy comes across one of her favorite users talking all about Glossier's newest genderless lifestyle line. She shows Nick, her husband, and my brother the video, and they decide it would be fun to do the quiz together. As they navigate to the website to take the survey, they notice that they have completely different questions because the distinguishing feature of AI is that it uses individual answers to generate that next question. They both decide to purchase their suggested scent, and as a result, they feel seen and heard and appreciate Glossier taking the time to get to know them. They even sign up for the subscription so they never have to worry about running out. Lucy now has a new sense of loyalty to Glossier, as she not only feels a deeper connection with the brand, but it is her one-stop shop for all of her beauty and body care needs. Nick is a new customer to Glossier, and he thinks, wow, this really does smell like me. He spreads the word to all of his male friends and is even looking to buy other products from the brand, such as their milk jelly cleanser. So what role does marketing play in all of this? Well, first, let's answer the question of what are we trying to accomplish? Through Glossier every day, Glossier can appeal to a new male market, shift consumer focus back onto their brand, increase brand engagement and loyalty, and ultimately show customers that Glossier is their one-stop shop. Now comes the big question. How are we going to do this? As a digitally native company, social media is one of Glossier's core competencies. The marketing tactics involved will utilize a digital focus and word of mouth. While Nick and Lucy might have heard about Glossier every day through TikTok, other channels of marketing include a social media campaign showcasing how beauty is found in everyday life by everyday people, and a hashtag male motive movement in order to create more conversation with their male market. Through Glossier every day, you will be a part of something special. Like Lucy and Nick, you will feel seen and heard, not just through engaging with the survey, but every day when you wear your Glossier every day. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you all today, and I would now love to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Sophia. It's not easy to go first, and that was quite impressive. I'm going to turn it over to the judges, Sophia, and see if they have any questions for you from what you just presented or from the submission that they reviewed. Anybody?
I have a question for Sophia. Sorry, Nathan, I was 2 seconds faster. Hi, Sophia, congratulations for the job you have done. I think that your assumption and intuition are great regarding the business idea. I would like to understand a little bit more, just super quick, if you can tell me from an operational standpoint, are we talking about a completely personalized individual scent, or is, you will end up in one of the 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 options that is the closest to what the output of your questionnaire was? So trying to understand the complexity of managing the supply chain behind this idea.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So that was definitely a question I had to ask myself when coming up with this proposal. And I came down to creating 7 fragrances with our product development team. I thought 5 might have been a little too small and 10 might have been too much. And based on these 7 fragrances, our artificial intelligence technology can recommend from those 7. And while you might be recommended a scent that someone else might be recommended as well, the meaning behind why and what it represents to you are entirely different. And there's also room in the future for Glossier to develop more fragrances to be added to this line, or maybe remove some if need be.
Thank you.
Really nice job, Sophia. I loved the way that you were able to storytell and really talk about what the customer experience could be. Fragrances is such a hot category right now. We're seeing a lot of customers really getting into the product if they haven't before, and also trying new fragrances. It's also such a sensorial product. So I love the way that you can take the quiz and then find your product. But how do you think about sampling? I see that you offered subscription, but that's a big leap on your first purchase. So how are you thinking about really getting the juice out there so that customers can also experience it before making a commitment?
Absolutely. Thank you. So in my original case, I proposed the idea of offering a smaller sample size after completing the quiz for a much lower price point. That way the consumer can still experience the scent that was suggested for them, but it's not too big of an investment monetarily for them to try it out and see if they love it. And when they hopefully do, they can buy it in a bigger size.
Hey, Sophia, it's Emma here. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
You did such a wonderful job of presenting. Thank you so much. It was so exciting. And I was like eating up your words as you were presenting and before when I was swatting up on your brilliant presentation. And I wanted to talk to you because you're completely right. Glossier is a predominantly direct-to-consumer brand, but they've recently made a big foray into, you know, more traditional retail in Sephora. And I wondered if you'd thought about actually how you would roll something like this out in traditional bricks and mortar. Had that kind of crossed your mind at all as you were developing this?
Yes, it absolutely did. When I was first creating this project, they weren't in Sephora just yet. So I had in my SWOT like opportunity to be in Sephora. So now that they are, I'm like, awesome. And I've given it that thought. And I just feel that for the sake of the beginning of this launch and keeping it special to Glossier as their baby, as their new launch, it would be more beneficial to keep it online exclusive only just to start. And then based on, you know, customer feedback, sales, all of that stuff, they can then look in the future to perhaps having it in store and then maybe even wholesale with Sephora.
Sophia, great job. As everyone has said, you are an awesome communicator and storyteller. As Peter said, going first is not easy. And so kudos to you on being the brave one to step up. In my role, most of my job is focused on diversity and inclusion. So guess where this question is going. But I really wanted to try to get a sense from you. You know, historically, AI has had a lot of bias built into it. Technology has had a lot of bias built into it. And so I really wanted to get a sense from you on if you thought through how to mitigate some of the technological bias that's there, especially when you're talking about such a wide variety of just end users. Anybody can log in and take this quiz. Are you thinking through what the questions are in terms of making sure you're asking the appropriate questions to arrive at a inclusive and equitable answer?
Yes, thank you for that question. Absolutely. The whole idea behind this artificial intelligence survey is to just understand who you are as a person, who your personality is. It doesn't have eyes, it doesn't see gender or race or ethnicity or anything like that. And the way that I wanted to convey this is just by the certain types of questions it asks. So what is your personality like? What is your weather preference like? What kind of foods do you like to eat? What does your Friday night look like? And just asking those questions that you might feel are a little funny when you're answering them, but it really just gives the survey an idea of who you are on the inside, I think will really mitigate that.
Hi, Sophia. You did an amazing job. As everyone said, Corey, you stole my question, though.
I should have let ladies first. My apologies. My apologies.
No. But it was, I mean, it was along the same lines. I was going to kind of go more towards gender, like what you're thinking when you're talking about like your sister and her husband are sitting down together. Like, how are you, going to be able to, those questions, or how are they being tailored? So you just answered the question for me. Great job.
Thank you.
Sophia, along those lines, I'd be curious to understand, how did you connect the AI questions to the scent profiles that you've built out for the 7 fragrances? So how, what are you thinking around those 7 fragrances, and how are you connecting the data you're going to collect to really drive to the right fragrance?
Right. So we can take the information from this survey and kind of categorize it into, perhaps if, let's say, the survey gathers that you are a very outgoing, talkative person, you spend your weekends out and about with friends, the scent that it will suggest for you could perhaps be a very bold, fruity scent that when you walk in the room, everyone smells it. So just that example right there, just kind of the sense that you would associate with certain personality types and certain, the way you see yourself, you can really express that on the outside.
I have another question, actually, Sophia, just thinking through this, such an exciting idea that you've got. Have you thought about, because this is so much about personalization and you're focused on, it being delivered through direct to consumer, how does that, how does the personalization follow through like the whole customer journey, like through delivery and packaging? And I wonder if you thought about these 7 kind of unique fragrances and what that looks like from a consumer point of view outside of like just the product.
Absolutely. Love that question. So I used a benchmark brand comparison kind of from Henry Rose, which is also known for their genderless personalized fragrances. And something that was really notable about what they did is they captured their branding in their packaging. So consumers look to Henry Rose for those natural ingredients and transparency between the brand and the consumer. So that's shown in their packaging and the way they have the clear bottle and all of the ingredients listed. So while that might be special to Henry Rose, Glossier can use that same concept in how we can differentiate ourselves from perhaps the body hero line that they already have. And each bottle can represent the person that it was meant for, and it also represents the branding of Glossier, which is just seeing who you are as a consumer. And yeah.
Thanks.
Great, Sophia, that was a great presentation and also very deft answering of questions from the judges. So thank you for that, and congratulations, and thanks for sharing with us. And we really appreciate it, and you. So I think we'll move on now to Elisa, to Julian. Is that right? Okay. Hi, Julian. Judges. Julian is a sophomore from the University of Minnesota. Julian, I'm going to ask you to pull up your slides, and we'll let you take it over from here. Thanks.
Great. Hi, my name is Julian Tong. I'm a sophomore studying apparel design at the University of Minnesota. Growing up, I played lots of video games with my little brother, and the one aspect we both loved was collecting different accessories and equipment for our characters. This aspect of video games is one of the primary reasons I loved playing, and it got me thinking about digital fashion and the important role it could play in the near future. My project Agora allows you to realistically immerse yourself in the virtual world of Comme des Garçons, socializing with other players, choosing the latest looks, wear testing them in exciting situations, and ultimately being able to actually buy what you love. Agora is not just a concept. All the images you'll see during this presentation are from a working version of Agora that I created. Agora is the virtual universe of Comme des Garçons, brought to life using the world's most advanced 3D creation tool, Unreal Engine 5. It empowers artists to create photorealistic visuals and vivid immersive experiences. As shown in this image, Agora allows you to try on clothing from the latest collections, some of which may not even be out in stores yet. The beautiful dress that you had your eye on, or the jacket with the interesting and unique silhouette where you aren't quite able to visualize how it will look on yourself. All of it will be included in Agora. And here's the difference. You can try them on an avatar who looks just like you. If you like what you're wearing, you can buy it for your virtual character. And if you really love it, you can buy it for yourself and have it delivered to you in days. Comme des Garçons caters to many different consumer needs through their over 20 diffusion lines. This will be reflected in Agora, where there'll be different areas to explore that reflect the current lines and the moods of that collection. For example, if the Comme des Garçons Black line has a dark and mysterious Victorian theme that season, then players will be able to go there and explore the looks inside of a haunted mansion. How can Agora and Unreal Engine be integrated into the current design process at Comme des Garçons? Well, this is actually one of the aspects of the strategy that excites me the most. Designers will be able to continue to use industry pattern making tools such as Optitex, Clo3D, and Marvelous Designer. They then will be able to take those patterns for their dresses, shirts, and jackets and seamlessly integrate them into Agora in order to bring them to life in the digital world. Agora aims to create a competitive advantage by solving the problems that really frustrate me the most with the current digital fashion market, which are realism and interactiveness. Imagine trying to wear clothing made for a cat or a dog. Seems pretty hard. Well, this is the problem Balenciaga had with their collection with Fortnite. Although it was very interactive and you could play the game wearing Balenciaga merchandise, it was on cats, dogs, and characters that looked nothing like you. This jeopardized the immersiveness of the experience and the connection to the brand and their clothing. Agora intends to solve this by having customizable, realistic avatars that can be played in interesting and exciting situations. And finally, when addressing the success of Agora, we'll look at 3 key performance indicators: daily active users, the number of users playing Agora, the conversion rate, percentage of users purchasing merchandise, and the return rate, the percentage of returning users. Why are these important? These key performance indicators are crucial for the success and health of Agora, and the data will be coded into the program so they can be easily tracked on a continual basis. As we move into the digital era, it's becoming increasingly important for brands to find a way to maintain digital relevancy and stand out. The solution, Agora, a powerful and effective way for Comme des Garçons to grow a strong digital brand presence for the future and assuring their place as a market leader in this digital era. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. That was great. I think I'm especially taken by you and your passion for gaming and your history of being a gamer and what you were able to do with this case study and what you were actually able to create. So congrats to you. Judges, any questions for Julian?
I have a question. Hi, Julian. Amazing job. I mean, this topic is something I've actually been in conversation with people in the last few months. And I'm wondering how you feel or how you think that like the actual clothing can be materialized. So if it's something that, if it's a new design that maybe hasn't been released yet or hasn't, you know, it's just coming down the runway, how can you actually get that to the consumer?
Yeah, so first of all, even if they haven't been fully made, the great thing about Agora is that those patterns that you can make in the pattern making tools like Apitex and Clo3D, you can import those into Unreal Engine and Agora. So you can kind of like test out new designs in Agora and see what people think. And if they like them, they can purchase them. And then down the line, you would make them.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Julian. Congratulations for the project. It's Abloh here. I have a question about, you know, you develop a project which is so far away from my skill set, but made me very, very curious. But my question is, I always think there is, you know, the higher purpose that brings people together. Of course, shopping and being able to represent digitally your perfect outfit and then eventually buying in real world. But can you talk to us a little bit more about this higher purpose? Why the community should come together other than, of course, having access to incredible fashion and unique fashion? What were you thinking about keeping the intellectual interest of the people that will be part of Agora?
Thank you. Actually, I think that's a really good question. So there are a lot of people who don't really have a fashion community, like people say who live in a rural area, they don't live in a city, so they can't really discuss it with anyone. And so Agora will be like an open community where people who love fashion can come together and talk to it, even if they don't live in the same area as one another. And I think that's really powerful.
Hey, Julian, how are you? Great presentation, by the way. I really just wanted to understand, I'm not a gamer, but I have kids that are obsessive gamers. So I've actually purchased fashion in Fortnite, believe it or not. I wanted you to tell me maybe, if you can, a little bit about the total addressable market. Like when you think about men and women that are currently, you know, in this space, absorbing fashion in like the metaverse or in like, you know, in different games, what does that look like? What's the size of the market and the size of the potential opportunity?
Well, I think the market is already really huge. I mean, Fortnite alone, I think last year made $3 billion off of just their skins. So there's a huge market. And one of the things I would like to implement with Agora is having an option where the graphics, which are the hardest part for your device to render, would be hosted by a third party like Amazon Web Hosting, so that even if you don't have a great device and you're just like on your phone, you'd still be able to connect as long as you have an internet connection. And that opens it even further for people who aren't really avid gamers and don't have like a console or a good computer.
Thank you.
Julian, really nice job. And, you introduced me into a new world, and, I understand all the brands and the fashion, but now seeing it come to life in this way was really interesting to read about. So thank you for educating me on that. A question on kind of the same build as what Emma was asking. As you think about the market, how do you think about what brands? Like, why did you choose Comme des Garçons? Like, how do you really get an idea of where the opportunities are? And is it more in the luxury space? Like, where are the real opportunities from a branding perspective?
Yeah, I chose Comme des Garçons because they have like a huge collection of diffusion lines, and it caters to many different consumers. So even if you aren't, you could be one or two different types of people, and you could still like the brand. And they also have a strong relationship with Dover Street Market, and they have great retail experiences. And I think that their partnership would be crucial for developing a good user experience. And also, I think that one option would be to allow other brands to kind of have their own space in Agora and pay a fee. So each time their product is purchased in Agora, Comme des Garçons would get a percentage of that as well. And I think the more brands that would be included, the more popular it become.
Julian, great job. I love that this is not just conceptual for you and that you've actually already built this. Kudos to you. I think that is very, very impressive. Like Shannon, this is something that LVMH is really trying to figure out in real time. Our brands are exploring how we navigate the metaverse and Web3 and all these new ways of engaging with our clients. And so our biggest thing to figure out is this connection or disconnect between purchasing something in this alternate world, right? And what it does or how it's connected back to a purchase in real life. And so wanted to kind of really understand your thought process. I know you addressed it during your presentation, but you made it sound as if it was an option too. And I think one of the things that LVMH is trying to figure out is, no, you can't necessarily own a Louis Vuitton bag in the metaverse and not have one in real life, right? And so talk to me a little bit about the virtual versus in real life advantages of this process.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to have some digital items be connected to the physical ones because it gives them context and it's not just some random design that you thought up. And in Agora, there's two options. So you'd be able to either purchase the digital version for your character and play in the game, or you can purchase the physical one through the game. And when you purchase the physical one, it would include that digital one as well. And that would be the two options. And then in the game, there would be a marketplace where even if you're tired of your digital product, you can trade it and sell it to other people in the game. And I think that's also something that a lot of games are lacking, is that once you purchase something like in Fortnite, you're stuck with it and you can't trade it with any other player.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. Nana, did you have one more question? I wasn't sure.
I was just going to ask a question around when you talked about Agora could be a platform for other brands too. And I think very similar to Shannon and Corey, like we're all trying to figure it out. How do you think Agora can also help, retailers and brands really understand this space? Do you see it as also being that advisor and partner, or is it really just a platform for the product?
I think that it could help other brands, especially newer brands who people are not very confident in buying their stuff and their merchandise. So it can be a way to test them and see them in 3D. And so they can become more confident. They can try it on an avatar that looks like them so they know what they're getting. And I think it will really help brands, especially new brands.
Great. Julian, thanks for that. It was as impressive in real life as it was on paper. So I appreciate that. Thanks. I think Elisa.
I think here you had to say virtually.
I know. As soon as I said paper, I reverted to my OG persona. Sorry. Thanks, Julian. So I think at least now we've got Olivia on deck. Great. Judges, Olivia is a senior at Washington University at St. Louis. Olivia, welcome, and we're eager to hear from you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Olivia Baba, and I'm a senior studying fashion design at Washington University in St. Louis. And I'm so thrilled to be sharing with you all my design case study, which explores how the Bare by SKIMS collection will relieve the chronic pain suffered by tens of millions of women. During the winter of 2020, I was diagnosed with vulvodynia. Vulvodynia is a little-known chronic vaginal pain disorder that affects 16% of women in the US alone. This was an incredibly challenging time for me, filled with debilitating pain and burning, many doctor's appointments, and glimmers of hope that were often only false starts. The one treatment that provided consistent relief, 100% white cotton underwear. But this was a lot easier said than done, as most options on the market involved synthetics, toxic dyes, and were in styles that produced friction and irritation. This is what initially sparked the inspiration behind the Bare by SKIMS collection. I wanted to create undergarments that were sustainable, 100% cotton, non-toxic, and sexy, and in styles that reduce friction and irritation for women like me and millions others who face other women's health issues. The Bare by SKIMS collection harnesses knit and wear technology and naturally colored cotton to produce a truly sustainable and adaptive product line. And why a collaboration with SKIMS? This is a hugely underserved market with 16% of women suffering from vulvodynia, in addition to 45% of women with recurrent yeast infections and 60% of women with recurrent UTIs. The Bare by SKIMS collection builds on SKIMS' reason for being, solutions for every body. SKIMS has an impressive reputation of inclusivity and female empowerment, and this collection only builds on those sentiments while expanding them with new technologies and materials that truly create a sustainable and adaptive product line. Now, what exactly is naturally colored cotton? Naturally colored cotton is cotton that is bred to naturally produce soft nude tones without the use of dyes. This is amazing from a sustainability and health perspective, as it eliminates the water waste and toxicity associated with the dye process. And why knit and wear technology? This amazing technology allows you to knit garments three-dimensionally with elasticity built in. That means no more elastic digging into your skin. These garments are completely seamless and frictionless, and they're also very eco-friendly as they are zero waste. And finally, what about the design? The Bare by SKIMS collection uses fabrications and silhouettes that truly suit the needs of every body. The nude minimal color palette beautifully mimics the neutral offerings currently at SKIMS, while also displaying the colors that naturally colored cotton currently comes in. The floral and female silhouette motifs truly emphasize this feminine beauty and embracing your femininity, and they're also arranged so as to not directly interact with the vulva and cause any potential irritation. And finally, the silhouettes range from boxer briefs to bikini to high-waisted styles, all of which are essential in eliminating any potential for friction and irritation and truly promoting proper vulvar care. Vulvodynia has been a surprising and powerful catalyst for creating connections and having deep conversations with women. In designing and researching this collection, I truly realized just how impactful and life-changing this product could be for me, but millions of other women who suffer from women's health issues. This is SKIMS' chance to truly make an impact with a health-conscious, innovative, and sustainable solution to the chronic pain suffered by tens of millions of women. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia, and thanks for taking a personal health issue and turning it into a very compelling case study. I imagine at the time you didn't expect that Emma might be one of your judges tonight, but she is. So we're going to turn it over to the group to ask Olivia any questions.
I feel like I have to go first, don't I?
I'm sorry for that.
I've got an essay here. I'm like, all right, 1 second. What are we doing? When are we doing this? Olivia, that was a wonderful presentation, and I appreciated so much about everything about it. It was, you know, when you think about what we do, both actually at SKIMS and Good American, and in solving problems and product innovation, the fact that this is something that's really sustainable and really hitting at a difficult issue that probably a lot of people don't want to talk about. I think that you hit so many points in there. It was like literally music to my ears. So I have a couple of questions on the actual business case. There's also a lot of things I appreciated just in your presentation, the way you'd use some of like the SKIMS style lines. And I think that those things make this, you know, ultra compelling. Two questions for you. One is really about the research around how this actually stacks up in terms of solving that problem. And I'd love it if you can address that a little bit more. God knows if I knew that 100% non-dyed cotton underwear could stop you from having a UTI, maybe we wouldn't have other synthetic fabrics at SKIMS, but that's a whole different question. So I really want to understand more about the research piece, and then also the technicality of the design in the product. Like, what is it that makes this product like not an irritant, and what is the difference in the design from like a regular pair of panties? So those two things, if you will.
Totally. No, thank you so much for that question. I am so happy to answer it. So this, throughout my diagnosis, it was very, very complicated, but something that doctors always said was 100% white cotton underwear, because it's super breathable. Cotton's all natural. It's not going to irritate the skin. And so, but even when I could find certain options like that, the elastic would still dig into your skin because there's no elasticity built in. So it was kind of trying to find a balance, and there was nothing really out there like that. So the thought behind this underwear is that the elasticity is brought in via the 3D knitting component. So that elasticity is built into different parts of the body so that you don't have to have elastic. And so that's going to remove any irritation there. The cotton's incredibly breathable, so you're not going to be as prone to yeast infections and UTIs. And then the naturally colored cotton also eliminates any of the toxicity of dyes, because we've heard so much lately about how toxic dyes are, and it's something that I'm super fascinated by. So that was kind of the idea behind the design and why it is going to work better than options currently on the market.
Congratulations, Olivia. Your project is really, really compelling. And it made me think that often, you know, there are like specific needs and specific problems that we need to solve at the beginning of a great idea, but then sky is the limit behind that kind of idea. And when I keep on thinking about the technicalities, the solutions, and then how this can be represented across multiple styles and garments and different moment of your days, I keep on thinking the 100% cotton, non-dyed world can be for everyone, can be, you know, fulfilling the needs and the preferences of so many people, from the babies to the adults that just make a choice of buying product made the way your project described. So have you thought about that?
I definitely have, because even when talking about this with friends who don't necessarily suffer from the issues that I do, they're like, I want this immediately. I think also because we have such a culture of like wanting thongs, and or that's like the way that we feel like attractive. But I was like, no, like I want to feel both attractive and have underwear that suits my needs. And I don't think that those two things have to be mutually exclusive. So I think this is something that can appeal to a wide range of people.
Hi, Olivia. Great presentation. Talk to me about the marketing of all of this. Will you kind of market it just as this cotton, you know, sustainable, you know, material, or are you thinking more along the lines of actually like the experiences that you've had, and that's what the purpose of it is for?
I think marketing it more generally, I think it would be important to kind of maybe have a bit of the background, but I want this truly to appeal not just people with vulvodynia, although that's a huge portion of the population, but really women who just deal with women's health issues, which is basically everyone. So I think that this truly can be a solution for a wide range of people. So I'd want to keep the marketing to like appeal to people with women's health issues in general.
I'll jump in. I had a very similar question. Shannon just paid me back because I love the, you know, health component of this, which lends itself to kind of to the corporate social responsibility angle, if you will. what I would love to hear is your thoughts around not just the marketing, but the financial aspects of it. If you're using only cotton, does that make it more expensive, less expensive potentially? Have we thought through, what that means from a manufacturing perspective and just the overall kind of cost of goods sold? I'm not asking what we're going to price it at, but really what does it cost and how complex is it to make it? You talked about the knitting and you talked about pure cotton. So we'd love to just kind of hear some of the financial thoughts around it.
Definitely. So I talked with someone who works with knit and wear technology, but also someone who knows a lot about naturally colored cotton. And both technologies are obviously both up and coming. So this might not necessarily be something that would be inexpensive to implement now, but with investment, I think it over time will become more popular. Naturally colored cotton has been around for ages and ages, and it's incredibly popular in Mexico and South America. And so it really does just take that investment by a company to really make it popularized and get that price down. But as of right now, it would be on the more expensive side.
Olivia, I thought you did a great job, not only today, but also in a lot of the work that I was able to read earlier in terms of really thinking about this from lots of different lenses of the customer, but also as you're thinking about the design. Just curious, and a little bit to piggyback on what Corey commented on, as you think about the capabilities of what you can execute around the product, like print and pattern, from a size inclusivity, like washability of the product, were there any things that you said like it would be too hot, like you wouldn't be able to accomplish using this fabrication, or are there any limits? I think it was hard to tell a little bit in the sketches, but like were you using lace? Like it was hard to see some of the detail.
I think in terms of limitations, I haven't heard of like a ton. My only thought because I did for this case study, having a print that would be using natural dyes to be printed onto it. And I think that there might be challenges with replicating that and making that in mass scale. But in terms of naturally colored cotton, the challenges behind that wouldn't be huge. So I think maybe the sort of dye and print process may be something that would have to be eliminated in actual like production.
Great. Olivia, again, thank you. I think I heard the word compelling from virtually every judge, so thank you for that. Terrific. So I think we'll move Elisa to our fourth and final four finalist, and that would be Clay Lute. Clay, for the judges, is a senior at LIM College. As I mentioned earlier, Clay is Virgil Abloh Postmodern Scholar. Clay, we're going to turn this over to you.
Alrighty, thank you all so much for coming. My name is Clay Lute. I'm a senior at LIM College studying fashion merchandising, and I'm excited to introduce you to Nintendo Enabled. Let me actually hit presentation so you can see it. The new adaptive line from Nintendo in partnership with Kohl's. Nintendo Enabled seeks to enable children on the autism spectrum through adaptive fashion, but it doesn't stop there. Nintendo Enabled utilizes phygital integration, which blends the physical and digital assets of the collection utilizing the metaverse, which will empower and inspire the children in our clothes. I created this pitch as my own sister falls on the autism spectrum, and I've grown up watching the unique challenges my parents faced raising an autistic child. And listening to my sister's experience, I've become aware of a unique opportunity in the existing market. 1 out of every 44 children in America are diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. That amounts to nearly 2 million children who feel that there is no one making clothing that they can feel comfortable in. However, Nintendo Enabled is a collection created with that customer in mind. There are hundreds of blog posts online from parents explaining the existing challenges to shopping for their autistic children. How do I get my kids to put on regular clothes when the tags irritate their skin? How do I find adaptive clothing in my price range when none of my local retailers are offering it? How can I help my child feel confident and secure in their own clothing? Nintendo Enabled is the opportunity for fashion to be the bridge to accessibility for these parents. That's why I've created each product with the kids' needs at the forefront. For example, our hoodie, which is pictured on screen here, it actually has BPA certified aglets. So those little strings on the end of your hoodie, you could chew on those safely if you get nervous. Or our socks. Talking to my sister, she explained that having seams in her socks used to just kill her. It would distract her all day. So our socks are woven in a cocoon-like pattern to avoid having any seams that could cause discomfort. And even down to the fabric we used. Our cotton is blended with Tencel to create a super soft hand feel to avoid any sensory issues for the kids. And while our product is created with adaptability in mind, the collection's open to all, and our product is created so that any child can enjoy wearing it. You may be wondering why Kohl's. Partnering with Kohl's helps us reach the customers where they are. Think about it. Many parents with children on the spectrum are living in suburban areas around the country. Kohl's is somewhere they and their children are already familiar shopping with. The ability to meet our customer in their comfort store creates an inclusive shopping experience. Nintendo is one of the largest video game companies in history, and their extensive libraries and incredible tech capabilities in the metaverse make them the perfect brand to launch under. In that initial launch, we were pitched to bring in $222,000 in sales for our first season. And that's just in 25 stores and e-com. When you expand this collection across the 1,100 stores in the Kohl's in the United States and continue the collection to the next season, this had the potential to bring in over 25 million in sales per year. This collection is poised to expand as well into new categories such as bedding and home accessories, and will grow to empower the lives of children and their parents across the country. Nintendo enabled plans to use the phygital modality to create a universal experience for the children in our clothes. Through a hang tag code, children can have their real life clothing translated onto their favorite Nintendo characters. That way, we create a full circle experience for them and their in-game friends. I mean, imagine being 10 years old and seeing your favorite hoodie that you wear every day also being worn by your favorite character, like Ash Ketchum in Pokemon Go or Mario in Super Mario Brothers. I mean, I know I would have loved that. A key part of our marketing is raising awareness. By partnering with content creators who are themselves parents of autistic children, we can uplift and amplify the voices of the community while also educating the population at large. We also plan to uplift the community by partnering with the Color of Autism Foundation. In line with social commerce, Nintendo enabled will form a partnership with the foundation to provide new technologies for schools to help bridge the educational gap for teaching children on the spectrum. Speaking with my sister, she would have loved to have clothing as a kid that made her life easier and not harder. Speaking with parents around the country, they can all attest that they would do anything to make their kids feel safe and secure in the clothes that they wear. Nintendo enabled us the opportunity for fashion to change children's lives. This is Fashion's Level Up, and I hope you're ready to play. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Clay. You packed a lot into 4 minutes. Congratulations. I'm going to open it up to the judges to ask Clay any questions that you may have from that presentation or from his from the deck that you reviewed.
Hi, Clay. That was amazing. I'm like, I want to look at your deck again and get really into the details there. But the first question I have would be when you talk about changing the materials, like the strings you said on the sweatshirts, or changing like the seams on the socks, would that increase the pricing on your on the clothing? And so I guess how does it adjust the pricing on the clothes, and does it still stay within the Kohl's market?
Yeah, so the biggest kind of task I was forced to really address when I did this was researching what already exists in the market. And that was the biggest struggle. This is often custom made clothing that people don't really have their hands on because it is so expensive. But I did a lot of research on factories in Vietnam and the way they're able to do things like flat seams or laser printed tags, and actually using some things like recycled tencel. There's a Refiber brand that does recycled tencel. Using that can actually bring your cost of goods down so that it will really price out like a normal garment. And because it is children's clothes, you can keep that cost low because these are smaller garments in a well.
Congratulations, Clay. That was a really compelling presentation. I thought you did such a great job. I know a little bit about the accessible clothing market. I'm an investor in one of the bigger adult brands in this space. And I was thinking about it. Actually, Shannon said some, or you answered some of it in your last answer when you spoke about having looked at some of these factories in Vietnam and the techniques, because making kids clothing is really, I think it's really fraught with lots of compliance issues. So I'm happy to hear that you actually have gone that extra step to try to understand how and where you're going to make these clothes. I guess my question then has to switch, because I'm a commercial person, I want to know how you got to those numbers. Where did you, that kind of planning a merch brain to get to the 222,000 and the 25 million? How did you roll that up, and what assumptions are you making to get there?
Absolutely. So the initial launch is in just 25 stores and e-com. So how I got to those numbers, the first number for the full year is based off of 2 seasons. So there'll be a fall, winter, there would be a spring, summer. So using both of those, which would basically double your collection, and then expanding that into the 1,100 stores that Kohl's has in America, Kohl's brought in about 18 billion last year in sales. So this is only 0.1% of their sales for the year. And overall, I want to see this expand into things like towels and sheets and pillowcases. I think in a 5-year plan, this could easily reach a $30 million plan, and bringing this to more Kohl's stores, Nintendo stores, embracing into it more products. I just see this going and going.
I love it. You were being conservative. Good for you. Well done.
Thank you.
You know, Emma just gave us a lesson of under promise and over deliver is always a good place to be. But Clay, I had a question about, can you explain a little bit more about the role in terms of marketing and position you want Nintendo to play?
Yeah, absolutely. I picked Nintendo for a few reasons. One, Nintendo is a comfort brand. When doing a lot of research for this, I talked to autistic people. I looked on Reddit threads, trying to figure out what could bring that sense of comfort that is desired by these kids. So the reason I picked Nintendo, for one, is their characters. Everyone knows Mario. He's a big part of our childhood, and so he fits in really well there. As far as marketing, I started this a year ago, so I did not know that the Super Mario movie would be coming out as well in line with this. So huge boost for marketing there as well, but also just name recognition. Even when I think of in-store merchandising, I want a huge picture of Princess Peach and Toad and the Animal Crossing characters. That name recognition that Nintendo provides is invaluable, and so it's why they're the perfect partner.
And Clay, you know, maybe on that note, how did you decide? It sounds like you made a lot of good choices around why Nintendo, but why not just launch a brand and then have different franchises like a Disney, and so that you can really think about, you know, licensing as whatever movie is coming out?
Yeah, I think that's on kind of my 5 to 10 year plan for the brand, as I'd love to expand this into more. But when I was thinking about where I want to start, I thought about me as like a 7, 8, 9-year-old. That's what I was playing, was Mario. That's kind of all I cared about. And even looking at my sister, that's what she played too. It's intergenerational. And so I'm thinking about the parents that are actually spending the money buying this. They know Nintendo more than they might know Fortnite. And so I'd rather start with something that they know and their kids know.
Right.
Clay, great presentation. You definitely reminded me of all the support that LVMH has given to the disabled community. We have been a long sponsor and partner of Runway of Dreams and some of the other organizations that continue to think through what adaptive fashion needs to be in terms of a component of this industry. I guess one of the questions I had was really around how do you scale this, right? You're focusing on a very specific demographic or age range. Those children will grow, right? And so at some point, you're going to have to figure out how to make clothes for teenagers and maybe possibly even clothes for adults. I'm interested in your thought process around what that looks like, and maybe how come maybe you didn't factor that in now.
Yeah, so that's, I keep talking about year plans. That's my 10-year plan. I do see this expanding into teenagers and adults because Nintendo is an investor in F1 racing. And so they have some of the licenses for F1 racing. I think that's a great way to start when you get to that older age range. But overall growth, I see us beginning to make products that you take with you on your like kind of longevity. So thinking about things like a pillowcase or a towel that if I have sensory issues, I'm going to need that for the next 20 years of my life. So while I might age out of the kids collection, I might now be in the adult collection, but still using those towels that I got previously. So as it grows, the collection can grow with the customer as it brings in more sales, more to invest back into itself. And I think the room for growth is there.
Great. Thank you, Clay, for a very dynamic presentation and your responses. And I think we all appreciate hearing the research you did from Vietnam to Reddit. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's super helpful.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Judges, thanks for your questions of Clay and our other 3 finalists. Maybe we could say, Elise, goodbye to Olivia, Julian, Sophia, and Clay. And then I think, audience, the judges are going to convene very shortly. And I guess the good news will be on April 3rd at our gala. We will announce the quote unquote winner of this competition, who will receive the most significant scholarship amount and support. So again, thank you very much, Sophia and Julian and Olivia and Clay. You know, you were, as I said, as impressive tonight as you were virtually. So thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing you all and hearing more from you on April 3rd. So good night to the viewing audience and to the finalists and judges. We'll see you in a very short while on another Zoom link. So thank you, everybody.